these Indianapolis Colts led by Indiana Jones.
Indiana
Jones finding a home in Indianapolis.
Had to retire Danny Dimes.
Indiana Jones tough.
Indiana Jones might be the best nickname in football right now. And he's playing like one of the best goddamn
I'm just
quarterbacks.
not here for you guys glazing Daniel Jones. If that's what's going to happen this segment, I'm not here for it.
I mean, Dels, maybe you were right. Maybe you were right when you said Daniel Jones had no flaws. Because
shit, that's what he looked like yesterday.
The way that he's playing right now in Indianapolis is looking like it. And Shane Steichen, he's had success with multiple quarterbacks before in the past, but none like Mr. Danny Dimes, Mr. Indiana Jones. And week one, we're trying to think maybe this is an anomaly. You know, maybe this isn't what they're going to be. Mm-hmm. Week two, you're out your best edge rusher. You're out your best corner. Charvarius Ward didn't play.
Nope.
And the offense lit up the Broncos defense. This demonizing Broncos defense. I mean, they got savages on that side of the ball. Get after the passer. They got the defensive player of the year. And we're thinking, oh, Daniel Jones going from Miami to facing these dogs. It's not going to be the same thing.
No.
But then what does Daniel Jones do? He just leads the Colts to 2 straight games without a punt in NFL history.
I'm glad that you're a Daniel Jones fan.
We're talking about Daniel Jones, a quarterback in the first half who had more passing yards in the first half in Colts franchise history. We're talking about Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, played for these franchises.
Matt Ryan.
And now Daniel Jones, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, once a MVP candidate.
I'll say this.
Phillip Rivers.
You can keep talking as long as you say right now, Drew, you were right.
About Danny Dimes.
You can continue to do what you're doing as long as you say, Drew, you were right.
Drew, you were right.
Hey, I was there.
Indiana Jones might be the real deal with the Colts.
Really? And I'm genuinely surprised.
And AFC South could be a division they could win because they have a complete roster.
They do.
But we'll see how long this lasts. But one thing you're definitely wrong on was those Denver Broncos.
It sucked we lost. It's a game that we looked so inconsistent and we still were in control and should have won the game. Mm-hmm. What kills me the most about that loss, it kills me that we lost on a penalty that should have been called for us on Will Lutz's missed field goal. Because if we're being honest, where I didn't agree with Sean Payton's time management at the end of the game, using timeouts well too soon before we needed to the way that Indianapolis managed the clock at the end too, which I thought was terrible. They were like, all right, we're going to trust a 60-yard field goal with a guy who had a career high of 44 yards last week. I was sitting comfy. 60 yards, we won. I was feeling like that. We weren't going up against Brandon Aubrey. We weren't going up against Boz.
Spencer Schrader.
60 yards, I said, we won. He misses the kick. I'm not surprised. And then they call a flag on a nonsense leverage. I was sick to my stomach. I was sick to my stomach. I jumped up like a little kid when he missed. I was like, yee! And then he missed. I'm like, man, this is really going to happen to us. So, yeah, it was annoying because now people are pointing the finger at Bo Nix for throwing the interception in the red zone. That's also what bothers me because he had a flawless first half. He was honestly great even after the INT, getting us into field goal range, having a chance to put points up. Will Lutz, who is, I'm not going to take a shot at him. Will Lutz has been really good for the Broncos. I'm not taking any shots. It's unfortunate he missed. It is what it is. We live with it. But this defense went MIA on us. Mm-hmm. Surtain should not have come back. I'm going to stand on that. I understand he's the best in the world. He's the best in the game comfortably. He was obviously hobbled. It was evident in that fourth quarter. He was limping on that last drive. And now you put him in a position to where statistically he had one of the worst games he's ever had in his career. I get that he's a team guy. He's a grit and grinder type of dude, and he wants to play through injury. It was evident he wasn't himself. This pass rush, we couldn't get after it. Daniel Jones was great, making good decisions constantly. And Jonathan Taylor getting his get back against us after fumbling the ball in last year's matchup. He was excellent. One of the players of the week. If he wins AFC Offensive Player of the Week, it's justified. He was legitimately dominant and the difference in the game. We can highlight Daniel Jones, and rightfully so, the completion percentage, the touchdowns, the constant scoring drives. JT was the offensive star of the game for them. For us, it sucks because, again, in a game where we lose, we were in control for 99% of it. It sucks we lost. It is what it is. I'm not overthinking it. Bo looked great. Bo looked awesome.
What are your thoughts about him saying our frauds?
He's joking.
I don't think he is.
No, he doesn't like Bo Nix. He likes the rest of the Broncos.
The thing with the Colts right now that I see is I see a complete football team.
They are.
The defense didn't play so well, but I think you can chop that up to just the injuries. Jonathan Taylor was otherworldly. He's still one of the best backs in the league. And Tyler Warren, that's an early L that I'm going to take.
Respect.
He's looking like a star.
Respect.
A superstar.
Joel, you're moving me.
And I think
this whole segment, I'm being moved.
What was it? Wait, Loveland?
He said, he just said that
Warren.
Tyler Warren is good. That's all, which is fine. But the Daniel Jones saying that I was right, nuts. And now showing Tyler Warren some love.
I was expecting a backhanded compliment.
Me
after
too.
I was Jones shit.
That's why I'm like,
you're right, but not for long. Or some shit like that.
I like Tyler Warren because for such a big man, he's very nimble. The play that I thought that impressed me the most was just on the sideline where 100%. He missed the DB miss. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the way that he can move is so fluid for his size. It's very impressive. And they're involving him in the offense heavily. And they have a great supporting cast. Really, we have to see how long Daniel Jones can sustain a level of play. But all he really has to do is not turn the ball over. And that's it. And just complete the passes that Shane Steichen has dialed up for him. That's 100%. All he has to do. For the Broncos, I think the biggest takeaway I came away with the game from is maybe this defense is not as good as we thought it was. Because the defense last year was second in EPA per play. At one point, it was number 1. But then the Eagles ended up overtaking them to end the year. And the Broncos, you look at the games that they've played against top quarterbacks, top offenses. When didn't they get shredded?
True.
Against the Bengals, Joe Burrow. Second matchup against Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
Riley Moss coming back from injury is the only explanation.
Against the Baltimore Ravens, they dropped 41 on them. In the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills. This doesn't feel like the tier of defense like the Texans, where the Texans shut out the Chargers in the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers, a team that shut out the Lions for the most part, and then they go out and drop 52. It feels like the Broncos, the higher the level of comp they play, the defense gets shredded, and I think the biggest weakness is the run defense. If you have a good offensive line that they have to play against, they kind of get moved around on the line of scrimmage, and that's what I've just been noticing. And I think their defense was a big part of their success last year, and if that regresses this year against a harder schedule, and we're going to see a different Broncos team this year.
Last thing I'll say, and I'll kick it over to you two. I agree with you. The rush defense definitely is something that does concern me to a certain degree. What also concerns me is the consistency that we get out of that cornerback too.
Oh, you don't have good cornerback twos.
And it's sad because Riley Moss last season before the injury was excellent. He genuinely was great. Post-injury was not the same guy. Yesterday, Riley was kind of getting picked apart, and so was Pat Surtain. Just the secondary as a whole wasn't great, but they really were targeting Riley Moss. But that's what's going to happen when you're on a team with Pat Surtain.
Sure.
They have no choice but to go opposite side. Yesterday was a rare occurrence because Surtain was injured, so they just were able to take advantage of that. But Riley, Jaquan, and Jade, one of these three has to step up. And of course, we're looking at Jade to be that guy to come in and immediately be that. But Riley, I expected better from what he showed me last year. For him to not come out and pan out the way that I expected, it's been unfortunate.
So crazy Daniel Jones stat. In week 2, 97% of his throws were first read throws. I think part of that has to do with 97%, which is the highest mark since, I think it was Fantasy Data is the ones tracking it since like 2023. But any regular season or postseason game, it's the highest mark that any quarterback has ever put up. Part of that, I think, is just how much pressure Denver was sending, right? They were constantly having Daniel Jones under pressure, constantly showing, mug looks at the line of scrimmage, so he was forced to get the ball out quick. But the other part is Shane Steichen, right? We've always, I think, collectively thought Shane Steichen is one of the better offensive minds in the game the last couple of years. He's dealt with poor quarterback play, whether that's from Anthony Richardson or various backups. But we all recognize that Shane Steichen, if he does get competent quarterback, he has a healthy offensive line, and weapons around him, plus Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you're looking at him as probably like, one of the 10 best offensive minds in the sport. And through 2 games, Daniel Jones, I think you're the one who said about the Ryan Tannehill kind of arc. That's what it feels like for DJ. He has a long way to go. Having your first 2 games indoors in a dome, Riv. You know what I mean? We gotta wait and see.
Miami.
get Miami one of them games, but then it's Denver the second game. So you kind of have the worst defense in football compared to what we were expecting to be one of the best defenses in football. So it feels like
play call, everything drawn up.
Yeah, no. But all seriousness, I don't think you're wrong, Joel. Right? This feels like a complete team because coming into the season, I know I was super high on the Jags. Part of that is like the idea of the Jags, right? Because the Jags are just cooler. They have a first-time head coach in Liam Cohen. They have Trevor Lawrence, #1 overall pick, BTJ and Travis Hunter. They have all these names, They have all of this potential that But you also recognize there were some serious holes there, mostly on the defense. And offensively, there's some questions around them too. But the Colts were a team that kind of just felt boring, right? It was a team that didn't make any major changes in the offseason. And now they're bringing in Daniel Jones. So it felt like a team that was more or less overlooked by us, and no one was expecting Daniel Jones to do what he's been doing. So I'm not saying, shame on us by any means. But when you look at the division, it's weak. You know what I mean? The Texans are sitting at 0-1 right now. We'll see if they get this W, but they're far from world beaters. The Jags look very shaky. And then you have the Titans who have a rookie quarterback. They have a long ways to go. So there's a real path for them to win this division, compete in this division. I think winning that game against Denver is a real stamp, because after week 1, as much credit as they deserved, it was more about, holy shit, Miami's awful. Like, this is one of the worst teams in football. Nobody, me included, were really giving the Colts their proper due diligence, saying like, you know what, hats off to you. This is one of the most impressive wins of the week. But going and beating Denver in the manner you did, even though, you did need the 15-yard penalty end to do it, it's credit to them. It's credit to the offense, because I really do think the pieces are there when you're talking about Downs and Pittman, A.D. Mitchell, Tyler Warren, who's fantastic. And I mean, if Jonathan Taylor is going to be this version, and knock on wood, he could stay healthy. He has potential to be the best running back in football.
Best in the game.
He has that type of potential. So if you could lean on that, this is going to be a team that's difficult.
Now, Riv, let me ask you. There's been comparisons drawn to this Colts 2-0 start and the Saints 2-0 start last year. Do you buy into it, or you think it's different?
I think
Saints wins last year were against the Cowboys and the Panthers.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
I don't really take anything major away from these past 2 games. I know people like to jump the gun. I'm more looking at their next 5 because they got Titans, Rams, Raiders, Cardinals, Chargers, Titans again, then Steelers, then Falcons, Chiefs, Texans.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, so it's like I'm looking at that Rams game. I'm thinking that's good. I'm looking at the Raiders, the team we think that's in the same tier as them for sure. That Chargers game after that is an important game. The Steelers, like 2 weeks after that. Those are the games I'm looking at. Like you mentioned, Dolphins, worst team in the league. Let me not be rude. One of the worst teams in the league.
Worst defense, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Denver is a team that we thought definitely a top 10 team, went out there. And I feel like that game was just really weird in terms of where Denver should have won the game, but it was just a lot of things going on.
Dominating the whole game.
It was really just a lot of weird things going on in that fourth quarter. This Colts team, we always felt
dominating's cap
that they were a quarterback away from being competent, being really good. And will we see Daniel Jones do this all season? I don't know. He's giving us kind of that vibe where he's a little bit inconsistent, but this is probably the best weapons room he's had in his career by far. JT always has been a great running back to me. So, like, if he's healthy, you're getting one of the 5 best running backs in the world. The defense, we'll see. Like I said, Rams coming up soon, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. Haven't really played any elite offenses either. Like, it's the Colts are playing great, but I'm just still in a wait and see. Like, I don't know if I can really put too much stock into them yet. I feel like 2-0 is a great start. It also helps that their division there isn't any world beaters in their division, so they're gonna fight for it. They fought for it the last 2 years, so it's not like they're completely out the picture. This team has talent. It's just interesting to see how they go forward, because I do think that Denver win, I think that was more on Denver than it was the Colts, in my opinion.
I think the Saints cop is valid, though. It's just the Saints last year got hurt. Like, if they would have stayed healthy, who knows what happens. But it's valid in the sense that you have a team that nobody's expecting to do good, that everyone's kind of overlooking, that a quarterback we have questions about surprises the first 2 weeks and makes a statement win. I believe the Cowboys was week 2, right, last year. The Broncos in week 2. It's a game that no one was really picking either side to win. I know there were some people, but majority were expecting the opposing team to win. So we look back on it 2020 like, oh, the Saints, they got off hot, but then they sucked. But it was more so because of injuries, right? It's not like the whole operation just fell apart. It's just the O-line got hurt, then Carr gets hurt, and then everything falls apart.
I just feel like with the Colts,
both weak divisions too.
Their season is going to be determined by what has been determined by the last couple of years, where we know they're going to be a 7-8 win team the final 3-4 weeks of the season. It's whether or not they can get to that 10-win range and really secure a playoff spot, because they've been close. They were a 500 team last year with Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. The year before with Gardner Minshew, they were around there. But it's just those final games of the season when they needed their quarterback to play better and be an uplifter in those moments, they didn't get that. So this year we have to see.
Yeah, one thing I will say to the Colts credit, man, it gets lost that obviously CJ ended up winning that Colts game, winning that first game versus the Browns, then of course falling short to Baltimore. Gooden dropped a gimme pass that could have been a first down. It could have been the Colts that made the playoffs. Gardner Minshew's time with them obviously ran short. You know what happens with Anthony Richardson. But this shows, like you kind of alluded to a little bit, Joel's, he's just been looking for a guy that he could just
run
work
the offense.
with. Yeah. Just please I'm giving you a game plan. Just execute it. Daniel Jones has shown in the past when you give him a safe floor around him and the infrastructure, he can execute. He can still get you he can get you wins. He can get you to the playoffs. He's shown that in the past. And with Shane Steichen, who I don't want to say he's a better coach than Dable, but man, considering what Steichen has had to go through the last 2 years, he's got some talent. Don't get me wrong. But the lack of quarterback play, the inconsistencies, the injuries that his teams has dealt with, to still be in the hunt down the stretch every single year, maybe this guy, Daniel Jones, was the missing piece for Steichen. Maybe this is what it's going to take for them to clinch the division.
He's only on pace for 17 passing touchdowns.
That would be better than his breakout year 15.
He does have, I think, 3 rushing, though.
You forget about his rookie season. It's sad.
3 rushing.
But it wasn't a breakout year.
I mean, he was great. Until he fumbled.
Well. He had so many fumbles.
He had a good rookie year except for the fumbles.
It looked good because when you go on like Pro Football
He's 24 and 12.
They don't show the fumbles.
He's 24 and 12
But then you scroll down, it's like 17 fumbles.
I will say Daniel Jones is the only hope this year for a breakout quarterback, because the hopes of one in New York ended week 2.
Whoa.
Justin
Fields. He got concussed.
He didn't have to do that.
He got concussed.